I have partnered with Jester Dooms from the It's Doomsday podcast. I'm going to be on his podcast like every Sunday. And here's our stuff. All the links are in the description so you can find those podcasts quite easily. Enjoy.
Warning, the following audio transmission is based on theory and is intended for entertainment purposes only. It's Doomsday and its affiliates will not be held liable for anything your dumbass does. Listener discretion is advised.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the It's Doomsday podcast. Today is August 10th, 2026, and joining me as always is LP, aka Local Prepper. How are you today, sir?
Better than you.
Apparently you are. So, for those of you that don't know, I'm currently overseas in Greece right now, and we are recording via Starlink, about 5,000 miles apart from each other. So, it is so awesome to have the capability of doing this. Thank you, Elon. So just quick side note story before we really tear into this episode today. I received an email from Starlink sometime last year about getting a Starlink Mini for free. I had this on my radar already. I had to pay shipping on it. It was about $20 a month, and they shipped it to the house. I pay about a $5 a month standby fee. I could activate it anytime I want, turn it off anytime I want. It's been absolutely glorious. I brought it to Greece this year. It is proving to be invaluable. Moving on from that, if you haven't done so already, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the show and shoot us an email. It's doomsdaypodcast@gmail.com. Subscribe to the socials at Jester Dooms and at Local Prepper at everywhere, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so the topic of today's show.
Here we go.
I want to know your Doomsday dream team. So we're going to play Fantasy Apocalypse, okay? And I want a half a dozen primo people you could pick. Any walk of life, any job category, who you would pick for your Doomsday squad and why.
All right. So they're all female, about 5'9", a redhead, a blonde, a brunette. It's only 3. I think anything past 3 is overkill.
Well, I think that you're also going to need a doctor that specializes in erectile dysfunction.
No.
And a Viagra salesman.
Yeah, you know why? Because, then I can get all the blue pills I want. One of them's a doctor, and the other one's a chef, and the other one's a counter sniper. We're good.
Okay.
I can do everything else that has to be done.
Okay, that's fantastic.
Okay. But seriously, I would probably...
Yeah, realistically.
Yeah, well, I don't know, man. I got some skills. Anyway, I would probably start with somebody in the medical field. I know several doctors. Unfortunately, most of them are a little bit. Doctors have a tendency to be a little bit, a little soft in the middle. No, they're a little soft in the middle. You know, even an ER doctor from time to time, without the right tools, is not willing to do some of the things that might need to be done.
Right, that's true. But do remember, this is fantasy. It's like fantasy football, fantasy D-Day. You could pick any walk of life, any person. Like, this is your dream team.
I gotcha. Well, I mean, I can't. I don't know any names. I'm not a social person, so I don't know any names.
Okay, so if it makes you feel better, I'll give you my first pick.
Okay. I feel much better now.
Okay, thank God. I'm here for you, babe.
That's what I hear.
My first pick would be the old school, early 1800s Barber, the one that practiced dentistry and minor superficial surgeries. I want that guy on my team, okay? Because the reality is we're all going to still need to get like some generalized maintenance in the apocalypse. These old school barbers, they practice general dentistry. They would take abscesses off your ass cheeks. They could bleed a pustulous boil on the bottom of your foot and prevent infection. They can pull a rotten tooth that's giving you problems. Like, these guys were kind of the go-to for overall ailments. They were your walk-in clinic back in the day, and they could do this with very crude tools and means, right? So this was before the technology we had today. So if I could bring one of those, late 1700s, early 1800s barbers back to this time and put them on my team, that would be my first go-to, is that well-rounded barber.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, your turn.
What was it? What's his name going to be?
If I had to give him a name,
Bob the Barber.
Bob the Barber. I don't know. That's a little too easy. I think we'd want a more crazy name.
Loquacious.
I was going to say Igor, like Igor the Barber. He has to be a little bit creepy.
Okay, so my next one, now that you got me thinking in the right direction here, my next one would be a 1950s, 1960s traditionally trained engineer, because those guys could dream up some of the craziest shit that leave us asking one major question today in 2026.
How did they do it without computers?
Where are the flying cars?
Well, yeah, that's a good one too, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can look and see some of the stuff that they were making for kitchens in the late 1950s and 1960s, that it's just it's like, wow, this is freaking awesome. I wish they still made this. No, they don't make anything like it anymore. And that's why because those guys can figure anything out, and without computers.
Okay. So what Local Prepper is referring to, for our listeners out there, you're talking about the engineers of the nuclear age is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes. And again, this was all done without computer engineering. They didn't really know what computers were back then. They didn't have those. Everything was done on a drafting board with very skilled mathematicians.
And slide rules.
Right. And they didn't have, they did have manufacturing technology. They did have lathes and they had some CNC machines, but nothing that was computerized. It took great skill to master that craft. But I have to ask a question about this. How would they be beneficial in an apocalyptic scenario?
Because at some point you need to build something, and you need somebody who knows how to build something. Somebody who understands engineering. That's why.
Okay. That's a good point. That's kind of my third pick on the list. My secondary pick on the list is a field surgeon. Okay. An actual military trained field surgeon.
Friggin' Hawkeye.
So basically my thoughts are, having a field medic on your team would be absolutely ideal, because I feel like a lot of the injuries that you're going to incur are going to be breaks, maybe compound fractures, lots of, impact trauma. You're going to need a guy to fix you up, stitch you up, get you going again. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And your field medics, your field surgeons were really good at that. That was their overall purpose, and also doing this in a very high stress scenario. Okay. Mm-hmm. So it's the apocalypse. Everything could potentially be a high stress scenario. If you fall and break your leg, it could be because you were still in a propane tank off of storage rack in an old abandoned warehouse where there's people coming in to get you. You don't know what that scenario is going to be. So just the idea of having somebody train under that high stress, that was my second pick. But brings me to my third pick to kind of combat your nuclear age engineer. My third pick on my list is an actual legitimate blacksmith, not the guy that's, just shoeing horses, but the guy that's making and manufacturing crude tools out of wrought iron, because that's what I feel we're going to need more than anything. We're going to need that guy that can, make you a new 10 millimeter wrench because you lost a bone. You're going to need that guy that can make you a new axle or a new drive shaft for this truck out of raw steel. I think we're going to need that blacksmith. So anyway, that was my third pick, kind of along the lines of your nuclear age engineer, but. Anyway.
That was actually my third pick too.
Oh, the blacksmith? Go figure.
Do you know what I called him? Smith.
John, by chance?
Just Smith.
Just Smith?
I actually know somebody whose first name is Smith. It's quite uncommon.
That is quite uncommon. I had friends named Smith growing up, and anytime kids running around getting into mischief, we were always questioning. They'd ask him his name, and he'd say his first name, obviously his last name Smith, and he would always get more trouble because everybody thought that he was messing with them.
Uh-huh.
Like the other adults would be like, I'm going to call your dad. What's his last name? And he'd be like Smith. And they'd be like, oh, I'm really going to kick your ass now. Oh, for the listeners out there that are listening, if I sound a little quiet, we are in an area where everybody can hear me. And I'm just trying not to wake the neighbors because it is late here. So that's why I'm kind of whispering into the mic. I'm not trying to seduce anybody, so don't get it wrong. Okay, so what's your next pick outside of Mr. Smith?
A 1968 soldier from the Vietnam War.
Hey, say that one more time. I missed
1968 U.S. soldier from the Vietnam War. Like in his prime.
I have to ask, why specifically 68?
Well, because that was the height of the Vietnam War. That's when we saw the most fighting, and we're talking about the guys that were like really putting people down. You know, these guys were jungle warriors. There was no body armor. There was no technology. These guys were just snooping and pooping through the bush, and whoever got detected first got schwacked. These guys were masters of the universe that they lived in. You know what I'm saying? And that's the kind of guy you're going to need on your side in the apocalypse. By the way,
military branch?
Oh, I said U.S. Army.
Oh, did you? I didn't. Yeah, I didn't catch it.
Because I want to call him Joe.
Oh,
G.I. Joe.
That's great. I love it. It's fantastic. Okay, that's not bad. I like where your brain's at. So I guess my next one on the list isn't very extreme by any means, but I want your overall like rural community farmer, like mid 1800s farmer. Not just a guy that can plant corn and harvest crops. I also want the guy that can do animal husbandry, that can milk the goats, that, just overall around, like, can keep the crops growing, can keep the eggs coming in, can tell us when the chickens are broody and, candle the eggs for us. Like, I want that guy because I feel like that's going to be a very viable thing. And obviously his name would have to be Roy because he's a farmer.
I see.
And Farmer Roy. It's nostalgic for me. So
it's Farmer Brown. What's wrong with you? Roy Brown.
Thought it was Farmer John.
John Smith. Farmer John Smith. It's getting so confusing now.
It is. Man, this team is getting weird. So anyway, but yeah, that was my next pick was the farmer. The guy that can do everything in the aspect of farming, the self-sufficient farmer. I want him on our team. Anyway, continuing. Who else you got?
Well, I've actually got two more, but I'll give you the next one. The next one I want is a forager. It doesn't really matter the age because it's a regional thing. A forager and who's also into permaculture.
Ooh.
Because they'll grow the stuff that the farmer doesn't need to grow en masse, and they'll find the food that's already completely natural. And her name, it's got to be a chick because they make the best. They make the best foragers.
Okay.
That and possibly a redhead. But her name's going to be Fanny. I'm going to call her Fanny the Forager.
Fanny the Forager. That's very interesting. You know what? On that note, we're going to go to break. We'll be right back after these messages.
Before we get to my story, I've got to tell you that right now it's summertime. Summertime there's an elevated level of opportunity for you to be involved or personally felt onto your body a major injury. Summertime, we go out, we have fun, and we do the things that we don't do during the winter. Now, in the winter, you're just going to freeze to death. In the summertime, you're going to do things that you wouldn't normally do. And if you're like a homesteader, you're out actually like chopping lots of wood for the winter, opportunity for major problem. More driving during the summer, opportunity for major problem. If you don't have the appropriate gear, you could end up dying. Not a joke, just bleeding out. It's the number one cause of death in the United States. Not guns, not anything like that. Not being locked in a refrigerator, no foolish stuff, just bleeding to death. How do we get through that? We make sure we have the good equipment. And the way we do that is Refuge Medical. Refuge Medical has the best equipment. It's all made in America. It's all top of the line. There's no questions about it whatsoever. If you're interested, hit the link in the description, save a little bit of money because it's not cheap. Let's get on to the story.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the It's Doomsday podcast. I'm your host, Jester Dooms. Joining me, as always, is LP. Welcome back to the show.
What up?
Okay, so let's talk about Fanny the Forager. Okay, first off, hold on. I think what we need to do first off is tell our listeners exactly what permaculture is, because I don't think a lot of people understand what permaculture is. I know what it is, but
Is
Our
this a
listeners
test?
may not. You know what? It could be, and it could be like
test?
it could be multiple. But what if it's not a test? What if the listeners are like, what if Dooms really doesn't know what it is, so he's asking LP? But I know what permaculture is.
What's permaculture?
Permaculture is that basic first layer of the soil where you have all your nice little microbes and your little habitat growing with your worms and your little bugs and everything. It's how the ground gets its oxygenation, proper nutrition, all that. You have to have a good permaculture to have an overall good crop. And this goes for regular gardening, foraging, everything. Permaculture. That's the best apt description I can give of it. Go ahead, tell everybody I'm wrong.
Oh no, you're right. You're right. Permaculture can mean a lot of things. There's no real true definition to it, but the general ideas behind permaculture is that it's like it's going to make things more sensible. It's going to make things more sustainable by their placement. And it's going to be resilient. Plants that will either protect or basically protect other plants. Like you can plant one type of plant next to the other, so that it actually bugs don't like that plant, so it'll stay away from the other plant. It could be that. It's a very broad definition, but the goal of permaculture is its permanence, and that these things they're going to come back year after year. You're not going to have to replant them. They're going to be giving back to the soil instead of taking away. There's this actual cycle of the ecosystem. So you're right, and I'm right. So now you all know what permaculture is. I can't wait to see the comments. You're wrong.
You're wrong. You know nothing of permaculture, moron.
Yeah, you fed.
You fed. So Fanny the Forager's fantastic. Okay, I got one for you.
Good.
And I was, every once in a while before we do the show, I might pregame a little bit with my wife, and my wife and I were talking about our primo Doomsday picks, and she radically changed my mind and made me grab somebody new out of the ether. And this would be Helen, the holistic medicine woman. Okay. So she brought up, she said, I would love to have a traditional medicine, but imagine having your holistic medicine woman that could act as a midwife and do all these things, right? Holistic medicine, and the woman that could take the olive oil and the garlic and the oregano and make you an antibiotic, the woman that could make the fire cider, that can actually put these herbs together and make these modern day holistic medicines, I think would be very beneficial to have in an apocalyptic situation, because we can grow new ingredients for medications. We cannot produce more petroleum byproduct medications in the apocalypse, right?
Yeah.
So therefore, and I think everybody pretty much knows, if you listen to the show, you're probably in the know, but everybody knows that the large pharmaceutical companies, they have patents on all the medications, and you cannot recreate amoxicillin in your home. You cannot recreate Tylenol in your home. But most of us know, because we are preppers and we're in this space, that there is natural alternatives to these things, right?
Yeah.
So having your modern day medicine woman, on hand that could go and find, say, milk thistle and turn it into a painkiller, essentially an aspirin or a morphine or whatever they turn it into, or they could take the ghost pipe and turn it into a painkiller, things like that. That's who I want on my squad. That's who I want on my Doomsday squad. Helen, the holistic medicine woman.
There you go.
Very, very good. Who else you got?
Well, I think I'd want to have. Everybody goes for all these very specific niches. I want to have somebody who is can do anything with everything. And I think I would get a 1950s, 1960s cordon bleu trained French chef.
Ooh.
Yeah, because these people knew how to cook things that nobody knows how to cook now. Cooking with things that we don't cook with. The huge percentage of Americans do not know how to properly prepare venison. It's pretty crazy.
How to prepare. I can prepare venison. You've eaten my venison.
Yeah, it's okay. And anyway, And I'm calling this one Julia because she is multi-purpose. You ever seen Julia Childs when she in her heyday? Thick,
No, I
stocky.
was born in the 1900s, bro.
She's just, you got to go check some pictures out. You know, she was like this very thick, stocky woman. She looked like she could pick up an average skinny jean wearing, latte drinking thing of what we call a man today and toss him 100 yards. She was like gorilla lady. So I could use her too. Someone breaks into her kitchen, tries to steal our mushrooms. Yeah, she's going to crush them. That's what I'm going to expect. And then she's going to take the mushrooms and she's going to make like a special sauce out of their bones. That's who
Bone
Julia
sauce.
Childs is. She's going to make some bone broth.
Bone broth. Okay. All right. So I have pondered on the idea of who to pick for the, food preparation, right? And I've thought about this a little bit, not heavily in detail, but my brain keeps going back to like one particular thing. I want the Conestoga wagon cook. Okay. Like that's what I want. This guy or girl, doesn't matter, with the Dutch oven in the wagon that we could bring a rack of meat to and they could turn it into a delicious stew that we could bring the wheat to, and they have the grinder in the wagon and can grind it into flour and make us some bread. I think I want that Conestoga wagon pioneer cook.
Cookie.
That camp chef. Cookie. Yes, Cookie. I want Cookie. We got to call him Cookie. And I really don't care. Man, woman, fat, skinny, don't care. As long as they can do the job, I don't give a rat's ass. But the idea behind Cookie is primarily very simple. If you have your people in your community out hunting and going nonstop all day, they might not have the energy to cook that deer when they bring it back. But Cookie's been over here stroking thine shaft or flicking thine bean all day, so they have residual energy to pound out dough to skin that deer to make that stew, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So Cookie's there at the ready, making the foods that we bring them. And Helen, the holistic medicine woman, if she has any leftover herbs, can take them over and provide them to Cookie to enhance the quality of our meal. So I think it's good.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good. Right. So, I've only really got one more on my list. Do you have any more?
I have one more.
Okay, give me yours.
One that everybody forgets about. They're always like, he's got to have a skill. He's got to do this. He's got to do that. No. I just want a really strong 25-year-old day laborer.
Ooh.
Yeah, just manpower. He's a sponge. He can do anything.
Well, okay, that's good. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. In fact, I haven't thought about that at all. I guess I thought, like many hints, make like work the bigger community, the less work. That's kind of where I was at, but that's it's a good thing to put on the list. Yeah.
But his name is Mason.
Mason, the manpower guy.
Yes, his full name is Mason Manpower.
Mason Manpower. God, we can leave you alone with this guy, right? I'm getting a little bit concerned.
No, I'm good to go. I told you about my three requirements, and that he's not one of them. He can just go off and work while I check the colors of these ladies' hairs, that stuff.
I hope you're right. Okay, I've got one more on my list, and it took me a while of
You're slow.
Going back and forth, and well, yeah, it's a little bit, so it doesn't matter. But it took me a little while. And actually, if we're being honest, there's a lot more on my list, but this is one that I think is very prevalent, should be the next one named.
Mm-hmm.
So I want a modern, well, I guess they're not modern day anymore, but close to modern day, Blackwater security ops specialist that specializes in urban combat.
Yeah. Why is that?
That's who I want. Why?
Tell me why.
Well, okay. But he has to have some sort of rank or status. Like, I can't just have a peon. I need a captain, a lieutenant, a sergeant, somebody that held some rank and knows what they're doing. Okay? Yeah. Because this is the fact of the matter. If shit hits the fan, we're obviously going to be stuck where we're at. That's primarily in the U.S. A lot of our situations we're going to be in are going to be urban combat settings. These Blackwater guys, they dealt a lot with the urban combat. Okay? They know a lot as far as difference between cover and concealment, how to shoot while moving, signs to look out for, how to identify, choke points. Like, they know these things. And if they're good at what they do, they could train the community accordingly, because you're going to have to run ops. You are going to have to leave your safety and comfort zone to acquire goods, to acquire supplies. You're going to have to do that. And anytime you leave the comfort of that community, you're going to encounter threats potentially. So you need a guy that's trained well on this. These Blackwater guys, they know how to deal with so many threats. A lot of these guys are trained up. They're all former military. So you're not just getting the benefits of a seasoned combat veteran, but you're also getting the benefits of a guy that was trained in urban warfare, that's trained in urban combat settings. So this guy wasn't just trained on whatever, dude, whatever.
I agree with you to an extent. It's just, I'm very familiar with the water that is black. And, it's just another private army. You could probably get the same thing from an experienced infantry guy in any one of the services. It's actually probably even more disciplined.
Okay, so if any Blackwater guys are listening to us right now, Local Prepper's address is 123 Spooner Street.
If they're any good at their job, they can find me without even thinking about it. So I'm really not that worried about it.
That's a good point. Yeah, but there's a couple other ones that are on that list that, it's simplistic things like people that can make and manufacture clothing. So like a tailor or a seamstress, a guy that can make, containers, like a basket weaver, a guy that can do plumbing work, electrical work, basically people that are jacks of all trades, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is, when you really think an apocalyptic scenario hits, you're going to figure out how to do certain things. We're human beings. We adapt and overcome. So for the listeners out there that are like listening to us, like, man, that's a good idea, and I'd like to have that guy, or that's a good idea, and I really want that guy. Do remember, we're human beings. Our number one skill set on this planet is we adapt to new situations all the time. That is what human beings do. We adapt, we overcome. That's what separates us from the animals. We have that capability. So you'll learn to sew. You'll learn to weave a basket. You'll learn how to make rope. You will learn these things if you have to. So, but that's all I got for today's episode.
Cool.
Well, all right then. Guys, we'll be back here for another exciting episode of the It's Doomsday podcast next week. So if you haven't done so already, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Check us out everywhere on social media at Jester Dooms and at Local Prepper. We will see you guys next week.
This is an emergency action message. At approximately 1 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, NORAD is tracking 15 ICBM nuclear missiles inbound to the following cities: Orlando, Miami, Pittsburgh, Dover,